Get your up there, contain the damn ball. This is why we do it. Hey, too many missed tackles. Let's go. We're too damn soft. Focus on the details. Try to put me in a good mood today. I just hate mistakes. I hate mistakes. Come on, fellas. Let's go to work. Let's go to work, huh? Oh! Me! You! I wasn't real happy about it. Like I say, I'm going to protect my players.
I would say if we were on the street, we probably would have had a fight.
These guys will run through the wall for me. I'm going to run through the wall for them. So, you know, if some feathers get ruffled sometimes, so be it. Damn it, that's horse shit. If we get a press G, you get your f***ing ass outside and get it contained, okay? I told you this quarterback runs. Keep him in the pocket. You got me? You better quit bullshitting around. I'm not having this bullshit. Better get your minds right, or I'll get them right for you.
If you want someone that's going to shock the system, he's not going to be your best friend. He's just not. I mean, he and I became friends after a long time because there was a respect factor that ended up being a friendship. But he's tough, hard-nosed. Some players will not want to play for him because, you know, the expectations are going to be harder than they've expected in the last few years.
Sure.
But he knows the game better than anyone, and he's going to coach hard. And I think that, to me, that's the shock this team needs.
Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, boom! Oh, last night was explosive, wasn't it? WWE, those award shows, I didn't watch it, but I know a lot was going on there. And then the Dallas Cowboys, just, you know, they are closing in, not quite official, but very close, on their next defensive coordinator in Mike Zimmer. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about it. We are basically going to revisit Monday's show, in a sense, and talk about why I have 3 more things to expect in a Mike Zimmer defense. Plus, Patrick No-C Walker will be joining us in the scientific method 10 minutes after the hour. So y'all stick around for that. We got an explosive show for y'all. What's good, Bomb Squad? That's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. Hey, man. I was just chilling, you know. I just got done watching the WWE kickoff show. It's like Jerry and I'm just wait, you know, for certain things to happen. That ends, and I'm just excited from that situation. And not even 10 minutes later, you know, we got where's it out here? Breaking news: the Dallas Cowboys are expected to hire Mike Zimmer as the next defensive coordinator. And as we sit right now, per sources close to the situation, it's not a done deal. You know, they're trying to iron out contract details, you know, monies, right? Jerry's a billionaire. Billionaires can be a little cheap. So they're trying to iron that out. I'd imagine it gets done. It would be shocking, but it's not something that we haven't seen before. You know, people walk away. Nonetheless, Mike Zimmer seems to be the guy. As long as they get this money situation ironed out, he'll be the next defensive coordinator. And I want to jump right into that. If you weren't here earlier in the week, we had broke down his history, because I think a lot of people, you know, look at Zim and they see, look, he's old and things like that, and we kind of dismiss his resume, which is a very good resume. He's extremely respected in the league. Everywhere he's been, he's put together top defenses multiple times over. We talked about the stat where 7 out of the last 12 years, he's had a top 5, top 10 defense in DVOA. That's whether he was with the Cowboys where he started, with the Bengals in 2008 to 13, or with the Vikings as their head coach and defensive play caller from 2014 to 2021. Now, here are 3 things to expect. Now, I'm going to revisit some X's and O's as well, but these are just 3 general things to expect from a Mike Zimmer defense, and we're going to go down the line here. Number 1, Mike is going to put an emphasis on stopping the run. This is not going to be a gimmicky defense where everybody's going to go out there and just want to eat, sack party and all that stuff. That will come for sure. But this is a coach that's going to put an emphasis on stopping the run. Schematically, Zim is adaptable for sure. He's shown that throughout his career, but he's also traditional in a sense. He's going to try to make you play one-handed. He wants you to be one-dimensional. He wants you to be what the Cowboys' offense is in the playoffs. He wants you to be one-dimensional. So he's going to scheme it that way. He's going to scheme it to stop the run. That is in his wheelhouse. Now, he traditionally does it in a 4-man front, right? We talk about 4-3-3-4, all that nonsense, and you'll see a quote I have later on from Zim. Nonetheless, he does it traditionally from a 4-man front. He'll emphasize nose tackles. If you go look at his history, you'll see he has guys like Michael Pierce, Linval Joseph, Pecco from Cincinnati, Dalvin Tomlinson. He doesn't play around when it comes to that. He also historically has at least one guy that can anchor the run on the edge, but also a guy who can get some pressure too. Think Danielle Hunter, Carlos Dunlap, if you remember him. If you really were in tune to the NFL, then Michael Johnson, used to get him all the time on Madden. And think those type of guys. When I say they, I mean Mike Zimmer and his defense. The way he wants to do this is by being strong in the front 7. And he wants to be strong in the front 7 so he can play more too high looks. We talked about this safety usage look for the Cowboys, ironically, yesterday. And I was talking about how if they hire a Zimmer, I think this thing, it may not get flipped completely upside down on its head, but it would not be that big of a discrepancy where the Cowboys don't play too high often at all. They're primarily, middle of the field close look, one safety, and that's just what it is. And I think, like I said, you look around the league, teams just caught up to that. 27th in the league in two-eye shell, 31st in middle of the field open looks, meaning they do not have too high safeties up there. But he likes to do that because he wants to stop the run with this front 7 so he can eliminate big plays early downs. In order to do that, you got to have real linebackers, Cowboys Nation. You got to have real linebackers. Somebody had wrote on Twitter when I dropped the news or whatever, and it was like, man, as long as he doesn't put safeties at linebackers. No. He's not doing that. Zim's not doing it. You go look at Zim's history. He has linebackers. Dexter Coakley's, that wins, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barrs, Vincent Reyes. He's going to get you some linebackers in here. In fact, it would not shock me if they want linebacker hunting in free agency. Now, the money is a thing, how Stephen Jones is, but I think 100% they're going to bring in not one, but at least 2 via free agency and possibly draft 2 in the draft. I mean, you can't really run this defense without traditional real-ass linebackers. And I think he's going to bring that. You'll need 2 stout ones down the middle, strong down the middle, with obviously the defensive tackle play as well. So I expect that from a Zimmer, I almost said Zimmerman, Zimmer defense. Another thing, why you want to be strong early in downs is to get into a favorable third down situation is because Zim has shown to be one of the best third down masterminds on defense in the game in the last, between at least 2017 and 2021. You can go back further, probably with the Cowboys and with the Bengals, but we'll be more recent history here. Again, shouts out to Mo for dropping this the other day. But between 2017 and 2021, his last 5 seasons as a defensive or as a head coach in Washington, on third downs, they were one of the best. Per EPA per play, by the way, from dropbacks and rushing. Top 2. And they're one of the best because of how aggressive but deceptive they are. What do you mean by aggressive but deceptive? Bill Belichick, one of the most respected minds in the game, one of the most respected defensive minds in the game. Listen to him. Don't listen to me. Listen to what he said about their defense. This is a quote from Bill Belichick during his time in the league playing against Zim. He said, quote, "They disguise well. I'd say that's one of their real strengths is they give you a bunch of not so much different looks, but different combinations off similar looks. You have to be ready for everybody. Sometimes it's strong side, sometimes it's weak side. Sometimes it's up the middle, sometimes it's man, sometimes it's zone. Sometimes it's blitz zone, all out blitz. Sometimes it's just max coverage and they drop everybody off, but off that same look." That's music to my ears because unlike Dan Quinn, Zim will change the picture post snap, but in a way that it's not difficult for his defense, but it keeps the quarterback guessing and it's difficult for them. And we showed some of this, right? Some of these type of different looks earlier in the week when we dropped the film, and we'll probably have more film as we go on, as long as they obviously close this deal with Zimmer. We showed it where they'll show a double A gap pressure and they'll peel off and the backers are in the hook zone or in the curl flat zone area. They'll show somewhere the backers will blitz. They'll show somewhere everybody drops back and next thing you know, a defensive back is blitzing and you get a free rusher. There's a defensive coordinator in the league that does this better than anyone in the league, and it's by far, and that's Spagnuolo. Spags over there in Kansas City gets more free rushers than anyone in the National Football League by a mile. Like, it's not even close. And it's because he does similar things, right? Where he shows different packages, guys are peeling off or whatnot. And Spags, he changes the defense. There was a video going around in that Miami game. Funny thing is, the guy was open, but where you saw a 1 high go to 2 back to 1 in like one motion. You know, that's some of the things that he would do. But Zim will do the same things. And Zim has showed the ability to adapt. He's shown the ability to do some combo type coverages. We didn't see that in Dan. He's shown the ability to change the picture. We didn't really see that with Dan. At the end of the day, though, the dude just knows defense. Here's a quote during his time in Minnesota that stood out to me, especially the end here. But here's a quote. Zim says, "Honestly, I want to fit our scheme to the players to the best of our abilities. Like I said before, it really does not matter if it's a 3-4 or a 4-3. As far as my philosophy, I want to stop the run and I want to hit the quarterback. However that is, if we got a blitz, I think we have a great blitz package. But I want to be fundamentally sound in what we do." Let me repeat that part because the Cowboys were not. I want to be fundamentally sound in what we do. There are teams that can go out there who can go out and make a lot of big plays, but they are not fundamentally sound. 2023 Dallas Cowboys defense. Then when the game gets on the line, they do not perform in the crucial situations of the game. It's Mike Zimmer. That's why for me, Cowboys Nation, I'm not even calling this a hot take, but we're going to call it one. If Mike Zimmer is hired, if this thing gets official, to me, without a shadow of a doubt, this was the correct choice to make. 110% of the guys that were available. That is the key point. Of the guys that they interviewed, that's even more of the key point. Mike Rivera, Ron Rivera, Aiden Durde, Marquand Manuel, Mike Zimmer, Rex Ryan. Zimmer was the best choice, and I don't even think it was particularly close. His resume speaks for itself. He's a fundamentally sound defensive coordinator, yet he has an aggressive scheme, as we talked about, that emphasizes stopping the run and putting heat on the quarterback. Not just physically, but also mentally, right? Because, hey, if you got a smart quarterback, they can see these things coming a mile away, but not if you're changing the picture, not if you have you're aggressive but deceptive in what you do. But not only does he bring that like football acumen, we know he's one of the best to do it when he's been in the league as a defensive coordinator or calling defenses. But he's going to bring accountability. He's going to bring toughness. He's going to bring kick ass back into that room, and not in a come here, buddy type of role. Not in a this is my Uncle Dan type of role. No. He may not be liked, and I quite literally do not care if he's liked, as long as he's getting the best out of his players, as long as they're being held accountable, as long as this defense is going out there and being tough. I don't care if they like him. I don't. Because if the results end up the Cowboys having a top defense, and not just a top defense in the regular season or a top defense against porous teams, but a top defense against those type of offenses, doesn't matter. It does not matter. And if you're not down with that, I mean,
Get your ass up there and contain the damn ball. This is why we do it. Hey, too many missed tackles. Let's go. We're too damn soft. Focus on the details. Try to put me in a good mood today. I just hate mistakes. I hate mistakes. Come on, fellas. Let's go to work. Let's go to work, huh? Oh! Me! You! I wasn't real happy about it. Like I say, I'm going to protect my players.
I would say if we were on the street, we probably would have had a fight.
These guys will run through the wall for me. I'm going to run through the wall for them. So, if some feathers get ruffled sometimes, so be it. Damn it, that's horse shit. If we get a press G, you get your ass outside and get it contained. Okay? I told you this quarterback runs. Keep him in the pocket. You got me? You better quit bullshitting around. I'm not having this bullshit. Better get your minds right, or I'll get them right for you.
If you want someone that's going to shock the system, he's not going to be your best friend. He's just not. I mean, he and I became friends after a long time because there was a respect factor that ended up being a friendship. But he's tough, hard-nosed. Some players will not want to play for him because the expectations are going to be harder than they've expected in the last few years.
Sure.
But he knows the game better than anyone, and he's going to coach hard. And I think that, to me, that's the shock this team needs.
That's my Hattie B's hot take. No conversation about the best Nashville-style hot chicken is complete without a serious mention of Hattie B's, which was founded in Midtown Nashville in 2012, and they now have a fast eatery downtown Dallas, Deep Ellum. Make sure you guys check them out. It's Friday, so if you're going out before you hit the club or whatever, stop by Hattie B's, get one of their amazing dishes, and you can order that prior to getting there at HattieBees.com. Or you can get it delivered to wherever you're at by going to HattieBees.com and using the sign-up code A2ZDallas. I like it if you can't tell. Now, I'm going to say exactly what I said a few years ago when Dan Quinn was brought aboard here. And there was a lot of pushback on Dan Quinn. Obviously, the Cowboys, we have to see. We obviously have to see. That's really going to be the theme of everything. Hey, wait and see. But the principles of what he brings, the foundation of what he brings, I think is something the Cowboys need. And you could argue, you could say, well, it might take a few years. It might. I think he has the talent, though, to fast track this thing. I think he has, like I said, the acumen, the experience to fast track this thing. Also, let's remember, Dan Quinn came in here, which probably had more pushback than Zim, but Dan Quinn came here. Year one of the worst defenses in Cowboys history, and turned it around like that. And you could argue He didn't have this type of defense to start, these type of players to start. Well, yeah, Micah Scott. Yeah, he had year 1, Micah. Going to year 4 now. He had year 2 Diggs. He's going into year 4 now. He didn't have Deron Bland to start, right? He didn't. So I feel like Zim could potentially have year 1 success with this defense, barring injuries and things like that. Granted, your offense remains to be at least productive enough. So this one, to me, big W for the Cowboys. Of the remaining defensive coordinators, that is key, right? I've obviously wanted guys before this whole process got convoluted and delayed. There were other guys out there. But other guys they brought in, I don't even think this was close. Mike Zimmer was the guy. And it may look bad because he's a former Cowboy. Oh, Jones is doing a thing. I'm going to be honest with you. We talked about this the other day. If there was a tussle, and if there has continued to be a tussle between McCarthy and the Joneses, and McCarthy wants to bring in Ron Rivera, and we got to pick sides. I'm picking the Joneses side. Y'all know me. I'm on the Joneses every chance I get. But this is the guy, man. I think he's much better defensive coach than one Ron Rivera. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit more of this of this defensive coordinator talk with our guy Patrick No C Walker of DallasCowboys.com. Good morning, good brother.
Hey, it's all right, man. It might take a little while for you to come off the Dan Quinn.
Yeah. It'll take a little bit, but I'll be cool. But you know what I won't be?
What up?
I won't be a Cowboys fan crybaby.
Ha ha ha! Because you know that this Mike Zimmer hire might slap like the Rock.
Oh yeah, man! Shouts out to the Cody crybabies out there. I love the cinema that's going down in WWE right now. They was all up in arms. Now look, fantastic writing,
bro. And what's crazy about it is this is one of the few times where I don't know if this is them selling it, if this is a work, or if this is real. Because, like, for example, The Rock stopped talking in third person when he started talking about his ancestors. Like, he was saying my. And, yeah, and that slap was definitely real. Like, that thing sounded off.
Man, I love it, bro.
Yeah, here we are. Heel Rock is back. Let's go.
Rock. Give me a mixture of Hollywood Rock and corporate Rock, and we're good to go.
Absolutely. The thing is, though, I think it's more corporate Rock than Hollywood Rock, because Hollywood Rock still has like a sense of humor. This Rock ain't messing around. True.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Good luck, Cody. And as far as the Cody crybabies, and we say this lovingly because we got a lot of love for Cody. Yeah, we say it lovingly. We got a lot of love for Cody. But if it's Cody versus the great one, I mean, come on.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm going to have to hit you up for Mania. Like I said, I'm serious about a watch party.
100%. Absolutely.
But before we get into the Zim situation, man, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this process in general, because it seemed like Dallas, they had a preference, right? They had a preference of experience over anything, so much so they reached all the way back to Rex Ryan, bro.
Grumble. All right, so I had already caught wind of that news, like, obviously prior to it hitting, but I wasn't able to confirm it just yet. I was still doing some digging, and then it hit, the Twitter sphere, and I was like, oh, okay, so there it is. And first thing that popped in my head was hell no. I mean, like, unequivocally hell no. And then we had an episode of Cowboys Break. I think it was the next day. Yeah, it was the next day, on Wednesday. And Derek asked me and Ambar to rank our candidates based upon who the Cowboys had already reached out to and or spoken with. And I put Mike Zimmer right up there with Wink Martindale. But the problem with Wink Martindale was that he was already more or less being tied to Michigan. So, and you saw what happened with that. He's set to be their defensive coordinator. So for me, it was Mike Zimmer. And then below Mike Zimmer, you had the Ron Rivera equation. And I had Ron Rivera higher than Rex Ryan. I had Rex Ryan at the bottom of my barrel. And I know a lot of people were saying, well, every time Rex has coached, he's had a top 10 defense. And that's true. But it's also true that Rex Ryan hasn't been in the league since 2016. He has been broadcasting since then, and he's been talking about feet since then. And he's been, basically cutting the Cowboys to shreds since then. But what he's not been doing since then is actually coaching teams, whereas you got Mike Zimmer.
Yep.
Obviously he's been in the league more recently, just departed the league not even a couple seasons ago when he and the Minnesota Vikings split, and then he went and took an analyst consultant job at Jackson State. Shout out to Jackson State. And here's Mike Zimmer, back in the league, back in the Cowboys organization, where he helped the Cowboys get their 5th Super Bowl ring back in the day. Mike Zimmer was in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017, not so long ago. He's an NFC coach as far as he knows how to navigate this conference, whereas Rex Ryan, he's an AFC coach, talk about the Jets, talk about the Bills. There's something added for me for a guy that not only has been recently coaching, Will, but has also been in this particular conference and knows how to play against these particular organizations like the Eagles and the 49ers and, so forth and so on. So all signs for me pointed to Mike Zimmer. He's coached a 4-3 and been successful. He's coached a 3-4 in the Parcells and been successful. He's coached Ring of Honor guys, Hall of Famers, DeMarcus Ware, for example. Just being one example, I wish as of last night I could have said Darren Woodson, but the hate continues.
Jeez.
The hate continues.
Unbelievable.
But that's a conversation for another day. Shouts out to Woody. We love you. But when you look at Mike Zimmer, of all the candidates the Cowboys interviewed, including Aiden Dirty, which obviously I have a lot of love for, this one just made the most sense, especially being that the Cowboys need a coordinator that can come in here and doesn't have a learning curve. So Dirty would have had a learning curve as far as being a DC.
Yeah.
Manuel from the Jets, he would have had a little bit of a learning curve to getting back to being into the DC role. But Zimmer just comes in and he's able to kind of hit the ground rolling. So he gets through his installs and he got a better chance of the defense being at top gear before the first trimester of the season is over, as opposed to standing there at the middle of the season still trying to figure out with a younger defensive coordinator, where are we going?
Speaking of Woody, which is a travesty, still not in there, but Woody talked about, shock the system. I love that he said that, by the way. He has no idea why I love it, but I love the shock the system thing. Zimmer is going to send a shock into a culture shock, I think, into that locker room. You know this more than any of us because you're down there every day. You're in that locker room. You know how much those guys love Dan, and you're probably aware of how Zimmer is. Just what type of culture shock is it going to be going from Dan Quinn to, hey, everybody, how we doing, everybody, to Mike Zimmer?
This is what you heard was 100% my evil villain laugh. Like
your Joker laugh.
Because it's exactly. Well, Seth Rollins.
I got you.
So there it is. There it is. Culture shock is the perfect phrasing, and that's why I phrased it that way as far as previewing the possibility of Mike Zimmer. Dan Quinn, players guy, 100%, and guys will run through a wall rightfully for Dan Quinn. This coaching style is much different in the aspect of Quinn has softer edges. Mike Zimmer doesn't have soft edges, right? Mike Zimmer is going to come in and he's the old school ball coach. I compare him to the Nick Sabans of the world, the Steve Spurriers of the world, those old school ball guys where it's just like, why aren't you doing your damn job? Either do your damn job or I'll get someone else in that spot who will do the damn job. And so it's going to be it's a complete 180 from coaching styles from Quinn to Mike Zimmer. But also, like I said on Cowboys Break, this might be exactly what this defense needs at the exact moment that it needs it. It needs that hard-nosed, that rough-edged, character trait from an old school ball coach who's not coming in kind of green behind the ears, and the defense looks at him and like DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, these talented veterans look at him and say, "Oh man, you're coming with all this smoke, but what have you done?" You can't say that to Mike Zimmer. You can't say it to Mike Zimmer because Mike Zimmer has done it, and he's done it with guys who are better than the guys who are in the locker room right now. Again, the DeMarcus Wares of the world, Darren Woodsons of the world, and when you look at the linebacker core, the Dat Wins of the world, the Dexter Coakleys of the world, the list goes on and the list goes on. So not only does Zimmer have the stripes to back up the smoke he's about to bring, but he has the smoke as well, and I think that's just going to benefit the Cowboys. This is a defense that, for the most part, they excelled in takeaways, they excelled in pressuring the quarterback, but what they struggled in was, number one, linebacker play and sometimes being out physical Talk about the game against the 49ers, for example. So I think that added level of physicality and consistency and being physical and punching other guys in the mouth, that's what Mike Zimmer has historically done with the teams that he's been on, and that includes the Minnesota Vikings.
Something else that's interesting, in the words of Cody, DQ, he was at the table in the booth, but Zim, he gonna be on the field cooking at the table. So that's different too.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's another thing, right? Cody cooked with that.
He didn't.
There was lines last night. He was like, y'all arguing about who's the head of the table, but nobody's been cooking for 2 years. Oh, that was right up there with what Big Tom Beck said to Real, and that Mama's gonna be on bottom with that.
Yeah, that was crazy. They was throwing some zingers, man.
Okay, all right, folks.
My bad.
Yeah, we gotta focus. Too. All right. So when it comes to Zimmer, you talk about style of coaching. Also, he is not, like you said, he is not a coaching box kind of guy. He's going to be down there on the field. He wants to be in the thick of it. He wants to be able to feel the energy and the air of what's going on and be able to adapt in real time in his particular way. So, again, this all just goes to culture shock, and this is something that the Cowboys defense is going to have to acclimate to, and they're going to have to acclimate to it quickly. But I promise you this, if they buy in, and they buy in quickly, and they buy in fully, and the Cowboys front office can give Zimmer the personnel he's looking for, because this is a linebackers guy. One big thing about Zimmer's defense is linebackers are key. They are stars of his defense. So he's coming into a situation where the Cowboys linebacker core is in dire straits. So again, perfect match, perfect timing. Hopefully they give him the same, carte blanche that they gave Dan Quinn as far as what Dan was able to do with the safeties unit. Now they need to do that with Zimmer with the linebacker core.
We got Patrick No-C Walker, DallasCowboys.com, joining us for the scientific method. Another kind of maybe something that we're not really thinking about right now because it's not technically official and all these other things, but the assistants. I feel like that's going to be key. Every coach wants every coordinator, I should say, wants their guys. And I kind of want to talk to you about a couple that, if you had to guess who remains, and some that, maybe look to be replaced. I know that's a bit touchy because these guys are under contract, but that's just the realities of it. He's going to want some of his own guys, and I'm already thinking of a particular name that he could replace. But who are some guys you think will be here? What are some positions? Let me just say that. I'm just going to say the position. What are some of the positions that you think that he may want to bring in his own guys?
I feel like you had something on your chest.
I do. I got something on my chest. Would you like me to get it off? I can get it off if you want.
No, we let it cook. We let it.
All right.
Let it simmer for Zimmer, right? So here's where I am with it. Top two, you got to keep Al Harris, and you want to do your damnedest to keep Aiden Durde. As it stands, they are hell-bent on keeping Al Harris, which is why they blocked Dan Quinn and the Commanders from being able to interview him for a lateral position, which is offensive line. No, not offensive line. I'm thinking Lunda Wells. They blocked Lunda Wells for offensive line coach, but they blocked the Al Harris interview for possible defensive backs coach in Washington, and that's because they want Al Harris to remain in Dallas. And for those that are wondering, the Cowboys and any team can block an interview unless it's a promotion. But Dan Quinn doesn't have a position that he can promote Al Harris into because Joe Witt is already the defensive coordinator, right?
Right.
So that's one. So number two, everybody knows, and I put it out there as well, Al Harris loves DQ, and he said he followed DQ to the ends of the earth. But keep in mind, that doesn't mean that he doesn't love Mike McCarthy, whom he played for, earned Pro Bowls under, and Mike McCarthy's hiring of Al Harris predates the hiring of Dan Quinn in Dallas. So he's a McCarthy guy, and McCarthy wants him to stay. So as Zimmer comes in, better believe Mike McCarthy is already sitting down with Zimmer and saying, I know we got to shuffle some things on the staff. You're going to want to bring in some of your guys, but this guy, Al Harris, has to stay. So hopefully that, they come to terms on that. Aiden Durde, he's going to feel the same way about Aiden Durde. But Durde is a little bit different because he's getting interest outside of the building. 2 or 3 teams. I know the Seattle Seahawks interviewed him for the DC position earlier this week. He's waiting to hear back from that. But I'm confident and I expect that if Durde doesn't leave for a DC position, that he will remain in Dallas. Fingers crossed on that. Now, as far as the others, you're looking at a shakeup. I mean, you're looking at a shakeup. I think the strength and conditioning coaches, I think they're solid. They're good to go because that goes to the training staff, Brett Brown's staff. I mean, they just do a phenomenal job overall. So I think they're set. But when you start looking at like assistants like Sharif Floyd. Love Sharif, but he's being interviewed by DQ. The Cowboys are allowing him to, which hints largely at the fact that they're comfortable with letting him find another opportunity, so they're not as all in on him as they are Al Harris or like an Aiden Durde. But then you start to go down the line. Linebackers coach Scott McCurley. I know. That's why I said I'm gonna let it simmer for Zimmer. I was gonna get you there. Yeah, I was gonna get you there. So Scott McCurley, you got to wonder what's the situation with Scott McCurley. We talked about linebackers coach, or we're talking about the linebackers position being in dire straits. Some of that goes to personnel. To be fair to McCurley, it's not his fault that LVE, suffered a career-threatening injury. It's not his fault that Overshown tore his ACL. It's not his fault that Rashaan Evans didn't pan out. So all of these things are true. Those are not his fault. But what he is accountable for is inconsistency with the second year of Damone Clark. Damone flashed, but he didn't take the full leap like we thought he would. You could give McCurley and Quinn credit for being able to turn Marquise Bell into a flex back as they did. However, asking too much of Marquise Bell as far as lack of size is concerned, that goes to linebackers coach. So just things like that Mike Zimmer is going to come in. He's going to come in and look at, and he's going to go down the line at each position. But I think the only two guys that are absolutely safe in this equation are Al Harris and Aiden Durde.
Oh, boy, man. You're dropping a whole lot there. Now, I know you dropped your article yesterday, but you got any more?
I'll throw one more thing in.
Please.
Throw one more thing in. I feel like this is a perfect opportunity because Al Harris didn't interview for the D.C. job in Dallas, nor did he interview for a D.C. job anywhere else. And we fully believe, and I say we because, you, myself, all of our compatriots who do this job well, we all believe that at a certain point, Al Harris is going to be capable to be a DC. I just don't feel like he's comfortable into stepping into that role yet. So here's an opportunity for a transitional period for him. I feel like with Joe Witt leaving, you should look into, if you're Mike Zimmer and Mike McCarthy, you should look into promoting Al Harris from defensive backs coach to secondary and pass game coordinator to allow more control from him for that passing defense, allows him to work more with the safeties in conjunction with his cornerbacks, and gives him another stepping stone towards DC. I think it's a win-win-win situation. So I say that to say keep an eye on that because that's not off the table either.
I think that's a fantastic idea because, we all get caught up when we break down Mike Zimmer's X's and O's. We get caught up with the front seven. But for me, it's what he does on the back end that really makes his defense pop. And we've seen what Al Harris can do with these corners. Now, if you give him a little bit more control, like you said, working with a mastermind like Zim, that means he'll be around a couple, high-quality defensive minds. And I feel like that pairing could be a really good one. I can see Zim coming here and saying, oh, no, we're keeping that guy.
Yeah, and think about it from what the capacity of what you just said, because when people think about Mike Zimmer, they do think a lot about the front seven linebackers, defensive line play, Daniil Hunter, and things like that. But what people fail to remember is the fact that Mike Zimmer was defensive backs coach at one point in Dallas. And here's a name. Here's one of the defensive backs that he coached. Here's one of the cornerbacks specifically outside of Darren Woodson in the defensive backs situation. Terrence Newman.
T-New.
Do you remember that guy? Right? So T-New. So this is a guy in Mike Zimmer who is very proficient in also coaching up very talented cornerbacks. And guess who he's inheriting? He's inheriting Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland, and hopefully they get Gilmore back. So if you get this kind of a mind, and then you look at Al Harris and say, not only are you sticking around, but I want to empower you more to help me on the back end with the passing game with my defensive backs on the whole, because I've seen the success you've had with the cornerbacks. Oh, this can be something special. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not us trying to sell it. This is just simply objective analysis.
Just reporting it,
and
yeah.
If the Cowboys do these things that we're talking about after the hiring of Zimmer, then this will be an extremely successful and more consistent defense. But again, these things have to be done, and that also includes free agency. Bring me a guy like Bobby Wagner to add to Mike Zimmer, for one example. And then go from there. The draft. What are you giving Zimmer in the draft? You got to be a little bit more creative with fewer picks because you traded two of those away. But again, it goes to personnel as well. He can coach up whatever you have, but the better personnel you have, the more he can coach it up. So all things have to align, but it's now or never for the Cowboys, especially for McCarthy.
Absolutely. You got any Science Lab articles dropping? I know you just did something yesterday that was pretty big, too, on the Zimmer thing. So if not, please direct them to that article.
That's the science. That's
okay.
That's the science for this week, which is go to DallasCowboys.com. Last night I laid it all out as far as what Mike Zimmer brought to the Cowboys in his first stretch and what he brings to the Cowboys in his second stretch and why he was the decision against the other candidates and what this means for each of the three levels of defense, what this means for Mike McCarthy, and just, what it means for the Cowboys going into 2024, assuming they get all the other pieces in place. So that's on DallasCowboys.com right now. Go check that out.
Man, appreciate you, Pat. You enjoy your weekend, and I'll probably be hitting you up to talk to you more about what happened yesterday, man. I'm excited for the WWE right now, bro.
100%, man. Dusty loving it.
Yeah, 80. All right, man. That's Patrick Nosey Walker, DallasCowboys.com. I'll get with you, bro. Lots to digest, man. A lot to digest with this Mike Zimmer hire. I don't think we're done here again, unless it just dropped. But we're still waiting for the cross the T's, dot the I's. But everything is looking like this is the case, unless something unforeseen happens from a contractual standpoint. But yeah, I'm 100% on board with the hire in the sense of, like I told you guys, of the guys they interviewed, Durde, Rivera, Rex Ryan, Marquin Manuel, this was a no-brainer, the guy to go with. And we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. But now it's time to hear from y'all. So we'll take a quick little break and sip your coffee, get your energy drink, pretend like you're working in case somebody's walking by. And we're going to get back into the Zim Talk. Invader Zim. I like that one, Jay.
A to Z Sports.
Do it live!
At some point, hoping to broadcast
in front of the millions
of Cowboys fans to bring you the real. But for now, strap up and here's your host, Skywalker Steele.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
We'll do it live.
Appreciate you guys joining me this morning. All about 700 of y'all. Yesterday was explosive, man. As soon as the news dropped, everybody was out. And I was tempted, but I'm like, hey, let's let the bomb squad take it all in. That's what I love about what I do. I can soak it in, think about it, sit on a quality thought, and bring it to y'all in the morning, man. Appreciate y'all for jumping in here. If you want to call in and join the conversation, you can. 351-999-3787. If you missed our guy Pat, he was on. We'll drop the whole entire segment likely tomorrow. And if you missed my hot take, hashtag running back, you know how we do. All right, let's jump into these phone lines, man. We got Chris from Alaska on the horn. What's good, Chris?
Hello, man. Just wanted to come on here and talk about Mike Zimmer. I'm happy about the hire. Something I love that he's a hard-nosed coach, and I really think that I think it will help this team pull something else out of them. I don't know, like, if you know what I mean. Like,
no, I know what you mean. Like, maybe he taps into something that has been untapped. Yeah, with something that, like, we just go back to last year with just, like, the Michael Parsons situation with the 49ers, with trading the jersey, with I don't think he's going to stop that.
Jerseys.
He ain't going to stop these players from being friends, bro. Like that's not going to happen.
What?
He's not going to stop players from being. Huh? Hello.
Yeah, exactly. And I really want to see if he can bring
Hello?
Mike and get that.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Hello.
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 Can
you hear me?
Chris, can
Hello?
you hear me, sir? Give me a yes.
Can you hear me? Yes. Can I hear you?
I can hear you, Chris, but it felt like you could not hear me. But continue on with your thoughts.
Oh, my bad. I apologize. No, I was gonna say, I think that he could bring something else out of the team, especially when it comes to playing with more of a chip on their shoulder. Because, like,
sure.
Just going back to last year with Micah Ling, like after the George Kittle thing, like with the jersey and the Dallas jersey.
You clearly didn't hear me.
and Micah on his podcast. George Kittle, can you hear me?
Chris, I can hear you, but Chris, what I was telling you was I don't think Mike Zimmer is going to stop players from being friends with each other. That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay. Well, I just think that I don't know. I just want him to play more with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, you can do that. Those two things could be mutually exclusive, right? Like, hey, you need to play with more of a chip on your shoulder, play harder, get all that good stuff on the field. But when the game's over, these dudes ain't gonna stop being friends if they friends, man. No coach is gonna stop them from doing it. That's what I'm trying to say, Chris. That's all.
Yeah. I don't know. It just hit me the wrong way when you hear him say, like, after losing that bad and saying, yeah, George Kittle's my guy. Yeah, that's my guy. You know what I mean? Oh, it's personal? I didn't know it was personal. Like, how do you not take that personal after losing 2 times in the playoffs before the blowout in Week 5?
Yeah, good luck on Zimmer changing that. Like I said, man, good luck.
Yeah, but thanks for taking my call. I'm excited. So,
thank you for letting me take your call there, Chris.
Yeah, no problem.
Marv, save us. What's good, Marv?
What up, family? How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's good to hear from you.
Well, I'm so happy. Now, we got a coordinator that ain't going to, he little big nasties in the middle.
Yeah.
Y'all got to get linebackers that can thump and read defenses. Now, if you don't know how to get in that room and study, you will not be on the field. No more favoritism. I love it. I love it. And this defense is going to be a top 5 defense. This is the talent that he like, and you got Will. I am with him. Oh, my God. Guys. Oh, and number 99, and Fico, they finna be balling because he love big defensive ends. Oh, yeah. Green Bay, no more running to the edge. San Francisco, no more running to the edge. And they don't be moving. All that moving you do, this defense don't move. They make you move. And Micah, you might get 18, 20 sacks now, brother. And you might not tire out come a playoff game. This is beautiful, y'all. This defense has been very cold-blooded. Now, that's what I was saying. Remember, I was saying, now we might win a game 13-10, or, now McCarthy and Dak, we praying for you, my brother. This might save you to be even more better. All the pressure, you ain't got to have that more pressure. But if they stop people from 10 to 13, then the fan, I ain't going to get mad at you, Dak, because you're my boy. But all other fans might get mad at you if Zimmer hold teams down to 13 or 17 points and we still lose. Then, I might not be able to take up for you, my brother.
Well, this is just step one, hiring the defensive coordinator. As Pat and I talked about, it doesn't stop there, right? Like you still need to add guys. You can't run this. Right. You can't run this particular set of players out there. I don't give a damn who the defense coordinator is, and expect to be an elite defense. So we've got a long way to go between right now and truly an elite defense. Remember, all of last year and the previous year, I said, man, I can't put the E word on them just yet. Can't put the elite word on them. They have potential to be special. They started off that way. Then once what's the name went down, we saw right away, hey, this is a far cry from elite. But they have to be able to go out and get the players in the front 7 to make it work. I think they got the secondary. I think that'll be fine. If they bring back a player or two, they'll get back Diggs. I actually think this particular scheme will probably help Diggs a little bit here because there'll be more of a mixture of zones, so he's not really running with guys early on. Nonetheless, he's going after him. But first thing first, Marv, is he has to go out there and be able to get the guys to make this defense work. And the reason why I have optimism in it is because I've seen Dan Quinn completely take a horrible defense in 2020 and turn it around to be a competitive defense during the season. And I don't see why Zim can't do that, and where I think he's taking over a more talented defense than Dan Quinn was. But you got to give him his guys.
And thank you. And like you said, the secondary, to all the Cowboy fans that are listening, yes, with these people he got, he make the quarterback hold the ball longer. Mm-hmm. And now Micah would get a lot of sacks and D-Law. oh, my God, this is beautiful. That's what I've been waiting for. The secondary making the quarterback hold the ball longer. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
that's
the coverages. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I said this in the open of the show, Marv, you know, he's aggressive but deceptive. And I could never say that about our scheme the last few years. And that's no knock because, hey, we were an amazing man defense. But when you run into teams that can easily scheme around that, you really didn't have a counter to it. Zim takes counters personally. If he gets figured out, he gets pissed the hell off and he goes in the lab and he says, nah. We're going to switch this thing up. And you saw him do that throughout his career. So I think he's hella adaptable and that'll help this defense.
Hey, and you know what's so funny still? Hey, y'all, everybody that listens, Deion Sanders probably told Zimmer, man, what's that crap? That's why he was pissed. All the Cowboys. Man, go take over that defense, brother. And Zimmer got on that phone.
Hey, you might be on to something, Mark.
I'm telling you, he called. He said, man, I'm going to take this defense. Because, man, still, if you was a good defensive back coach back in the day, and they call you, you like, man, give me that damn defense. Woo! And like we said, we've been missing the big nasties. He loved big nasties on his front, and he loved linebackers. Man, this is beautiful. At 33, it's going to help him. It's going to help the other guy that was hurt, and then you dropped another linebacker, and you might get, whatever veteran linebacker you get. Now, this would be really good for Bobby Wagner because he know how to read defense. Oh, my God. Man, I'm so excited.
I don't know about Bobby. But I mean, look, if you get Bobby here, that'd be fine for sure. But there's I don't even know if we technically need a Bobby for this. But if you got him here, I still don't want to just lean all the way on Bobby. You got to get him another running mate too, though. You know what I'm saying? He getting up there.
And it's gonna make the LSU linebacker we got 33. This might make him an all-pro, y'all, because now he don't think.
All right, now.
I'm just saying, though, in the middle, I watch how he use the linebackers to psych the quarterbacks. Oh, my God, I love this. I like when he make quarterbacks think with his scheme. And all the speed Cowboys got, man, we get them big nasties, like you say, still. Oh, my God, this could be ugly, boy. I love this. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at number 24.
In closing. In closing. What you got for me in closing?
In closing, was it number 24? What's the Israel?
Izzy. Yeah, Izzy.
Izzy. Yo, Izzy. If I'm Izzy and you listening to his son, well, you got a chance. You have a chance with this game. Oh, my God. I love it.
Marv, get the whisper. Appreciate you, Marv. Enjoy your weekend, man.
Salute.
I
love your show, bro.
Love you too, man. Let's I wanna bring this intro in like this, bro. Hold on real quick. I gotta get fancy with it real quick, man. Let's bring in our guy Vosh Lombardi from the Vosh Lombardi Live Show, y'all.
Beats Planet.
Work it.
What's good, bro?
Good morning, good people. Well, good afternoon. If your 9 to 5 is trash, then your 3 to 5 about to be the shit. Skywalker Steel.
What's happening, bro?
Appreciate you, famo. Hey, man, Marv be bothering me a little bit. How, like, this your show, but he go, hey, chat, everybody listen, let me say this. Like, no, this ain't your show. Relax. Sky, listen, man. It's one thing that I'm curious about, and it's not going to happen fast, right? But we're going to learn over a long period of time, and I would love for us to revisit this conversation when it comes to Brother Mike Zimmer being defense coordinator for your Dallas Cowboys. Assuming Jerry go ahead and break open the pocketbook and quit playing.
Yeah,
I wonder
what's going on there.
I wonder how many players that we may like, right? Like we may like a player, right? I wonder how many players are going to show how phony they are when it comes to the toughness. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who's really going to, you know what I mean? Because watch this. It's going to be a lot of players that's going to have an opportunity to get the hell out of Dallas, right? It's going to be a lot of dudes that's going to be like, man, I don't really know if I want this toughness. Maybe I do want the friend coach. Let me go to Washington. Because, look, you know the Washington football Wizards trying to turn into the Cowboys every single day, but we just keep blocking them.
Somebody like Fowler.
We just keep blocking them.
J-Ron.
Yeah.
You know, J-Ron, that come to mind for me, bro. J-Ron.
I wasn't even going to say his name, but let's be messy. I wonder how many of these characters are going to look this adversity in the face, look this tough character in the face, this non-players coach. Because we'll listen to these players.com and be talking to them, and it may not be the most, like, the biggest quote that they take away from it, right? Like it'll just be some little side quote. Oh, Dan Quinn's a players coach. Oh, Dan got my back. Oh, man, Dan hold us down for real. I wonder what's it going to be like. First of all, shouts out to you, because that compilation you did earlier, fantastic, right? What he said, hey, man, some people are not going to want to play for him. Some people are not even going to want to play for this character. I want to know what player that I thought was tough this whole time really soft because they don't want to be around Zimmer. I also want to know, because we gave Dan a lot of credit, right? I want to know what players that could have been good that maybe Dan was misusing, or maybe Dan didn't give them favor because Dan was playing his favorite guys. See, Dan the ops now, right? So I can say things like this about Dan publicly now. You know what I'm saying? Fuck him. I can say these things now. I wonder if Zimmer gets in and go, hey, man, this Wanye kid, boy, what y'all been doing? I wonder if he comes in and he sees, you know, he may see Izzy and go, man, what y'all been doing? I don't want this to be another Travarius Ward situation where we got to find out he good 5 years later once
same thing.
You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't want to see one of those situations. I want to know when Zimmer comes in, zero bias. He ain't worried about nobody money. I want to know what his evaluation says about some of these players. And I want to know what dudes that maybe wasn't starting can blossom up under Zimmer as opposed to Dan Quinn and his friend style. And who's not tough? I got a lot of questions about players that's on this roster right now. We're going to figure out, can Mike Zimmer make a 330-pound man 290
Come on.
in 6 weeks? I got questions, Scott. Did Dan Quinn ruin this last little run for us? What happened to Dan? Like, when Dan first got here, we were singing songs about Dan, but we got to keep it a buck with Dan because we got no information, like you say, Scott. How much of this was just malpractice on his part? I'm curious, man, but we're going to find out soon.
I think good bit, bro. I will say this. One thing we do know in this organization, this little goofy organization, how we run things, they will look at that defense side of the ball, and the Joneses want nothing to do with it. So they go and say, Zim, you do what you want to do. Just like they said, Dan, you do what you want to do. We control things more so on the offensive side. We're going to determine who's calling plays. We're going to determine who gets the money, all that stuff. Defensively, you handle it. So I feel confident that Zim will be able to come in here and like you said, Wanye, why is he not playing? This J-Ron character, I'm good. I played against him. In fact, I think I actually had J-Ron on my team, and he barely even played. You guys remember that? He was with Minnesota, and he wasn't getting out there. He was a special teams guy. He's going to look at guys, you know, like Mozzie Smith and say, excuse me, why did you put him on a Buddy Love diet? That made no sense. I like bigger guys. Go get me a Linval Joseph. Go get me a Dalvin Tomlinson and these types, Michael Pierce. So, yeah, I think they will give him that autonomy of say, hey, this is your defense, run with it. And if that's the case, if they open up their pocketbook a little bit, I don't think this learning curve is going to be that steep because you've got a lot of talent on defense. It'll just be a matter of who's buying in. And whoever ain't buying in, for me, I say get up out of here because I honestly don't care about this whole kumbaya shit no more. Not that I ever did, but, you know.
And then, Scott, you know, just ask some of your favorite draft guys, right? When we think about J-Ron Curse, like as a college football player, he was kind of a quitter. Like quitter was in a lot of his draft profiles, right? Aloof, non-interested, right? Just a lot of people said that about J-Ron Curse in college. Just ask about him. So he gets to Mike Zimmer's team, and he's a special teamer. You know what I mean? He's just a dude. He's just a guy that can't get on the field. People like him because of his measurables, but he can't get on the field, right? I wonder why he couldn't get on Zimmer's field, but he's a captain on Dan Quinn's field. I just got questions, Scott. I got questions. Is J-Ron Curse like a Chris Richard type character where we see the yelling, we see the leadership, we see the loudest, but the product just doesn't work?
I'm curious, guy, but I don't want to hold up your show, man. I just wanted to put that on your thoughts real quick because I'm off for the day. I'm about to go to the range and practice keeping us safe and all that. But hey, I'm just curious, guy. We're gonna learn a lot. And those players that go to Washington and mess that defense up, I just want to see, Scott. Have a good show, brother. Appreciate
you, bro. Much love. That's my guy, Vash Lombardi, the Vash Lombardi live show, man. Going to the range. Come on, Vash. Get your ass back down here, Dallas, so we can go, man. Shouts out to Foots in the building, too. Hey, Foots, we got a wrap next week, man. Man, we should have a busy week next week. I want to get back into the draft a little bit. I want to touch on some potential Zimmer free agent type of guys. We'll have the Vash Lombardi live show again. Big week next week. Jerry know what he doing, dropping this information. You know what he doing. But shouts out to BLS in the building, too, I see. I wanted to bring this up real quick. More shouts out. Shouts out to Girls Talk, Boys Talk on .com. They brought on, these girls do some good work, man. They're developing some good relationships down there. Our girl 2I, Jess, and Nicole, right? Nicole. They've developed some good relationships down there, getting some guys on, and Wanye was on. And he brought up Wanye talking about Vach and what type of coach will these players adapt to this type of coach. And Wanye pretty much described Mike Zimmer to a T. Now he, of course, gonna big up his guy. He's bigging up Dan Quinn, saying, yeah, this is the exact type of coach Dan Quinn is. Not going to talk shit about his guy. But listen to Wanye essentially describe that they asked him what's the traits that they want to see in the next defensive coordinator. Listen to Wanye, what he had to say. Let me unmute this real quick. Hold up. Appreciate you, Jess, for dropping this gem, too. We got that. Turn that up.
One, I kind of want to go back to personnel changes, coaching changes, all of that. What are some, I guess, characteristics that you are looking for in potentially new coaching staff coming in? For you as a player, what's something that you really value in a coach?
To be hard on his players. So, and I feel like that's one of the greatest traits DQ had, was the trait to be hard on you and love you. So that's important. And I love hard coaching because it pushes me. Yeah. And I don't get in my feelings about it. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I was raised by my mom. Yeah. My mom was hard on me every single day growing up. But it pushed me to be the best. So I love hard coaching. So that's just one of the traits for real.
Yeah, the best. One, I kind of want to go back.
Say word, Wanye. So I got you, Wanye.
Damn it, that's horse shit. If we get a press G, you get your fucking ass outside and get it contained. Okay? I told you this quarterback runs. Keep him in the pocket. You got me? You better quit bullshitting around. I'm not having this bullshit. Better get your minds right, or I'll get them right for you. Damn it, that's horse.
Hey, Wanye said, DQ, hey, he coaches you hard, but he loves you. Zim ain't gonna love you at the time. Zim don't give a damn about your feelings. So Wanye, if this goes down, you've got the guy you want. You've got the guy you want. And we talked about this yesterday. I think 100% this safety group is going to love having Zim if he's here, because he's going to put them in positions to make plays. Yes, everywhere he's been, that's been the case. So get ready. Let's get back to the lines. What's up, Glenn?
Hey, what's up, Sky?
Good morning.
Happy Friday to you.
Yes, sir.
So listen, great show as usual. Thanks for taking the call. I'm excited about Mike Zimmer coming back. I don't know how long he'll be here. I guess that remains to be seen. But the thing that I think I'm most excited for this defense is the ability to be more multiple and switching from being able to go back and forth from man to zone effectively. The thing that drove me crazy that I could never figure out with Dan Quinn is why can't we play effective zone? It's not like we have dumb players. We have a smart secondary. And it's one thing if you have a secondary that can't play man and so you defer to the zone because you don't have the talent to play man.
Right.
But obviously we have the talent to play man, but we've also got the smarts to play zone. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like, why couldn't Dan Quinn ever figure that out as far as getting that implemented?
We talked about like false confidence. I think he got here and he saw what worked, and to his credit, it worked. And that's what he stuck with this particular team. So I think he might have went and looked at it as, hey, why would I fix something that's not broke, right? And that's just that's the sword he decided to die on. You talked about being multiple, excuse me. He was multiple in the quote unquote looks. It was goofy, right? He had Micah Parsons at the nose tackle and things like that. And he was multiple in that, but I agree, he wasn't multiple in coverage. And when he decided to do certain things, I think he had the players to do other things coverage wise, but he didn't put them in position. Like he'd put Jaron Kearse on a roof type situation. You know what I mean? And it's like, Coach, why are we doing that? We've got guys that can play coverage back there. There's no need to. If you want a cover guy back there, don't take Malik off the field. And if Malik has to come off the field for a quick breather, then put Wanye out there, or put Izzy out there. But don't put J-Ron back there. The dude can't cover to save his life back there. So I don't know. I think he got this false confidence from year one, right? Hey, we got Micah, throw him at edge rusher, he'll save us. And when he's not out there, or if he's not winning, then nobody else is really winning consistently. And now we're like, I want to put Micah at linebacker because we ain't got no line. For whatever reason, he just seemed to not have any answers this year when things when teams were kind of swinging at him, and he was just like, hey, no worries, we'll be fine. And there was little things throughout the season where it's like, hey, if you don't switch up with this we could run into some trouble. One of the things was motion. Never figured that out.
Yeah, and we did. And I think that kind of, I don't know, it's not a total explanation, but I think it's a partial explanation as to why he tried in that playoff game, not revisiting old news or anything, but he tried to switch it up in go zone, and then it was like a disaster. And then knowing that when you're going up against the McVay tree or the Shanahan tree, you're going to go up against these offensive play callers who have man beaters all over the place. Well, if you can't switch it up and play zone, you're going to really have a problem in easy, busted coverages that were just like receivers wide open within 20 yards jogging into the end zone. And that is just unexcusable. So I don't want to trash Dan Quinn. I think he did a good job, but he completely maxed out. And the one thing Zimmer will be able to do is get guys to play zone effectively, and those man beaters from the Shanahan tree won't be nearly as effective. So that's all I got. Great show. I'll keep listening.
Thanks, Glenn. I agree, man. I think you will see more of a multiple style of coverage from him. Now, if you ask me, what is Zimmer's defense from a coverage standpoint? It's more primarily man, but he mixes it up. It's not, say, 80-20. It'll be more close to 60-40, 50-50 than anything. He will mix this thing up. And like I said, he'll mix it up in the game or within the season if something's not working. So I feel confident in that. Do we have the players on the back end? I truly do believe that, especially if they bring back a player or two where they're not having to rely on a bunch of rookies or whatnot or unproven dudes. Today's show, I actually planned on talking about the corners, but this news dropped, so we'll probably move that to next week at some point. We'll move that to next week for sure. But yeah, I'm excited for that portion of it, right? The front seven is still big TBD because as we talked about throughout the week, there may not be Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler. What do we do with Hank? There's some guys you got to replace here. You got the linebackers. Obviously, that's the big one. You don't really, I think, have the horses just quite yet up front, but that's what free agency's for. That's what the draft is for. But mainly free agency. That's what free agency is for. Dallas is going to have to open up the checkbook a little bit if they want to fast track, and they kind of have to. I don't think you can make a hire like Zim, who one of the best, right? We talked about it. One of the best defensive coordinators, defensive minds. He's in that category of the Jim Johnsons and the Dick LeBeaus, Don Capers, old school guys, Dom Capers and these guys. Leslie Frazier's that have put together a great resume throughout their career. But I don't think you hire him, a guy who can come in here and get things done right now, and you give him a bare cupboard and say, you just work with no linebackers. You just work with 290 Mozzie and Osa as your defensive tackles. You can't do that. So you got to say, all right, Zim, what do you need to make sure that this defense, I don't need the defense to necessarily be elite, but what I do need the defense to be, I need the defense to be fundamentally sound. Let's just go over this quote from Coach Zim. But I want to be fundamentally sound in what we do. There are teams that can go out there who can go out and make a lot of big plays. The Cowboys defense. But they are not fundamentally sound. Then when the game gets on the line, they do not perform in the crucial situations of the game. We talk about it a lot on this channel, right? We come back, we watch the film, and we're just like, man, these guys just do random stunts all over the place. One guy's crashing the B gap, the other guy's not. You know, Micah might be crashing inside. One play, another play, he's taking the edge, but nobody's filling. It's just a weird thing. When you go watch Zim's defenses, or not just Zim, Niners, Lions, Lions, Ravens, Chiefs, what you see, these defenses are moving on the string. There's not one guy, two guys doing this, then one guy, two guys doing that. One safety playing linebackers doing a spinner Rooney, doing a hokey pokey, a strong safety at middle line. Like, there's not all of this, man. At the end of the day, this is football. You don't got to try to reinvent the wheel. You can be aggressive but deceptive, but you can't be cute. Dallas was too cute. Dallas was a front-running defense, and in reality, probably a front-running team in general, but especially on defense. And Dallas, to me, during the tenure of DQ, when it came to the playoffs specifically, I talked about this a lot. There's going to be times where it's like, hey, man, y'all got to win this. This ain't the old day. And you go look at these runs and you see it. I happened to be in a conversation yesterday, and I was talking to somebody about when Mike McCarthy last won the Super Bowl. If you go look at the defensive run in that time, one of the main things, if you've been watching this show, you know my opinion on this situation. I don't know why the Cowboys are allergic to turnovers in the playoffs. They'll lead the league. They'll be top this, top that. They get into the playoffs, they are allergic. In that one run, that Super Bowl run for the Packers, they forced 11 turnovers. Sometimes you're going to need it. Wasn't like the offenses was just out there just going crazy. I feel like, now, I don't know about year one, but if he's, hey, this is my DC for the next 3-4 years, whatever, I feel like you can get to a point where you can lean on the defense and not in the way that Mike said. Remember, hey, man, we're a defensive team, going to run. Yeah. No, they can win your games. Big games, important games if you need to. And Zim is going to operate in that manner. Can the players handle it, though? We shall see. Good stuff today. Let me get to a couple of these super chats from y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Super chat.
Where we at here? 9. Okay, all right. Vance dropped 5 and said, as the great Pat Summitt said, players don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. Ooh-wee. Zimmer may cuss you out, but he has your back. Yep. Give me a coach that's just as passionate as I am. Not saying that DQ lacked passion. That's no. He didn't lack that. Okay? There's different ways to skin a cat. That's all I'm saying. Iceberg drop 1.
Super chat.
Q. He said Rock versus Triple H, book it. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen, Iceberg Q, because if I'm not mistaken, Triple H has a pacemaker. I don't know if you remember that, man. He had a heart issue, and it's the reason why he had to like truly hang him up. You know, in the wrestling industry, you don't really ever hang him up. They do these weird indie things, but he had to truly hang that thing up because he got a bad heart. So I don't know if we're going to see him out there. And I don't think he's pulling a Ric Flair. If y'all ain't seen Ric Flair's last match, Ric Flair went out there and faked a heart attack. Come on, Rick. What you doing, Rick? The happy Satarian dropped 2 and said, do you think more zone would be good for Trey's ACL? I'm not a doctor. I ain't gonna pretend to be a doctor. I know BLS is in the building. She's a, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Jazz. She's a athletic trainer or sports trainer, so she probably can tell you more than I can. But the reason why I brought up Trey earlier, if he's in zone, I feel like looking at the quarterback, right? I'm not running with the guy down and down out. And I'm not saying Zim's going to play zone exclusively. It's not going to happen. But I think he'll play more zone. So maybe that could ease him in as he's coming back from the injury, as opposed to, what were we, 90% man, and he's got to run across the field with these guys and down the field, down and down out. Just my guess. Not a doctor, though. We'll have a doctor on at some damn point again. But if you in here, BLS, maybe you could have a different take on that one. Miss Jackie said, this isn't a super chat, but she just said in the chat, thank you defenses. He said, Sky, thank you defenses have to win games at some point. Okay, defenses go out and get the stop, get off the field. Defenses, yeah. Sometimes your D's got to win it. Some defense got to win it. Sometimes your offense has got to win it. Sometimes your coaching has got to win it. And a lot of times in Dallas, one of those two units or both are going to have to overcome the coach. I know, bro. Somebody said Zimmerman to me earlier, and Zimmer. Dwayne dropped 10 and said, great show, Zimmerman, Zimmer. About to watch the whole season of the defense and get them tough. Marcus Dub dropped 1. I forgot to press my buttons on all those. It said, with Zimmer in charge, what happens to Micah's role? Will Micah accept Zimmer's style? I don't see Micah having a problem with Zimmer's style. Micah wants to be coached up. I ain't worried about Micah. Micah wants to be a great player, and that requires sometimes this. His role, that is the bigger question. I don't think there's a wrong answer in this scheme. If Zim, we had this conversation when we talked about the defensive ends. If Zim says, all right, Micah, we're going to remain you to be a primary pass rusher defensive end, well, guess what? Now you go out and you get your linebackers. If Zim says, nope, we're going to move you to linebacker, well, now you go out and you get you another defensive end. Danielle Hunter, he's out there, yo. Zimmer drafting him. So whatever they decide to do, the more important question, and this is the conversation that is never really talked about here. The more important question is, what do you do around that? The only reason we're having so many conversations about back and forth, and look, these are some good opinions on what to do with Micah. There's no dismissing any of them. But the only reason why we're having it is because if he is linebacker, you're not getting enough rush. If he is a rush, you're not getting enough linebacker play. You've got to be able to build around whatever it is you decide to do with Micah. He can do whatever you want him to do, and he's going to do whatever you want him to do. But you absolutely can't say, all right, Micah, you're a primary pass rusher. We're going to roll out Damone Clark and Marquise Bell. All right, Micah, you're our linebacker. We're going to roll out who we got now. I mean, shoot, if say Fowler doesn't come, no offense to Golston, but you can't say our primary rusher is going to be Golston and Lawrence and what Mozzie and Osa. You can't do that. So whatever they decide to do, the real question is, what do they do to combat that? That's the conversation about it. Because, we're a very combative group of fans in general. But we're missing the real problem here. The real problem is you never really adequately built around it properly, if we're being honest. Maybe ever. Maybe in the entire time Quinn was here, and we should have saw it. I'm going to try out a safety at linebacker in Keanu Neal. Jalen Smith on your one leg where it was pretty much done. Hey, we're going to put you. And he got up out of here quick. LVE, we're going to keep counting on you Stupid stuff. All right. Good stuff today. If you missed it, quick recap. We talked about 3 things to expect in a Mike Zimmer defense. For me, it's early down run stopping emphasis so that they can get into third down favorable looks. In order to do that, though, you need real linebackers, and you will get that from Mike. He's dealt with Dat Wynn and Dexter Coakley and Anthony Barr, and Kendricks and Vincent Reyes of the world. You're going to get that with him. And then when you do get into the, whether it's third down or not, you're always going to get a you're always going to have an aggressive but deceptive defense from a coverage standpoint with Zim. And don't believe me? Listen to Bill Belichick on it, man. He said they disguise well. I say that's one of their real strengths, is that they give you a bunch of not so much different looks, but different combinations of similar looks. You have to be ready for everybody. And then he goes on to talk about sometimes it's middle pressure, zone, blitz zone, all-out blitz, max coverage, and they drop everybody, but it's off of the same look. That's music to my ears when you're talking about the nitty-gritty of defense. And that was my goal today, was to talk about the nitty-gritty of the defense. We can argue back and forth about the overlying issue here in Dallas. We get that. We know what that is. But today I wanted to focus on what this particular coach will bring. And if all else fails, we know he'll bring this.
Get your up there, contain the damn ball. This is why we do it. Hey, too many missed tackles. Let's go. We're too damn soft. Focus on the details. Try to put me in a good mood today. I just hate mistakes. I hate mistakes. Come on, fellas. Let's go to work. Let's go to work, huh? Oh! Me! You! I wasn't real happy about it. Like I say, I'm going to protect my players.
I would say if we were on the street, we probably would have had a fight.
These guys will run through the wall for me. I'm going to run through the wall for them. So, you know, if some feathers get ruffled sometimes, so be it. Damn it, that's horse shit. If we get a press G, you get your ass outside and get it contained. Okay? I told you this quarterback runs. Keep him in the pocket. You got me? You better quit bullshitting around. I'm not having this bullshit. Better get your minds right, or I'll get them right for you.
If you want someone that's going to shock the system, he's not going to be your best friend. He's just not. I mean, he and I became friends after a long time because there was a respect factor that ended up being a friendship. But he's tough, hard-nosed. Some players will not want to play for him because, you know, the expectations are going to be harder than they've expected in the last few years.
Sure.
But he knows the game better than anyone, and he's going to coach hard. And I think that, to me, that's the shock this team needs.
That's the shock this team needs. On the way out, shouts out to my guy, Twan. Drop 50. Hold on, man. Where you at? Drop 50 in the Cash App, man. Said, for not much, a little something for the baby. Appreciate that a whole lot for those who aren't aware. And that's why there's going to be a bit of a break here in probably the next month and a half. But the newborn is on the way. Everything is going well, healthy, growing well. Pregnancy is going great. It ain't like it's me, it's her. So y'all women, y'all strong, man. Y'all are strong. Especially my lady, my wife, who is doing fantastic with it. I'm excited for our little man to get here. But appreciate you, Twan, for the super chat, or not super chat, for the Cash App drop. If you guys want to donate via Cash App, you can. It is $ Chill Will 1026. Easy peasy. $ Chill Will 1026. With that said, man, good show today. Great show. I knew it would be. We'll be back next week. Again, next week is going to be very interesting because once this closes, we'll focus on free agents that will complement Zim. Also, we'll focus on free agents offensively as well. Yes, I know we probably ain't going to sign a whole bunch of people, but that's just the process during the offseason. We'll talk about the cap board criteria guys, and we'll talk about the all-in guys who would make sense for the Cowboys defense and offense. We'll also tap back in, I'm sure, with my guy Foots and talk more about some of these prospects, right? And continue to wrap up the hindsight series. We were going to do it today, but I'll probably close it out with the cornerbacks next week because I don't want to cheat y'all. All right? I don't. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it a whole lot. Brother L, thank you. I was just about to ask you, if Brother L, if you want to drop it, you can, but he definitely, he did. He dropped the Cash App, so if you guys couldn't hear what I said, you can see it. And on the way out, obviously, I appreciate all that.
Super chat.
Dallas Cowboys hard hitter dropped 10 and said congratulations. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciate that. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Before I go, though, Darren Woodson needs to be in the goddamn Hall of Fame, man.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Stop playing with my guy. John Lynch over Darren Woody? What are we doing? Also, happy birthday to my guy CJ. I think it was his birthday either today or yesterday. Been a day one. Appreciate you, CJ. Enjoy your birthday weekend. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend in general. I will be back Monday. Make sure y'all be sure to tap into Vach and Brian Broadus' breakdown. Are going to be breaking down some of the prospects on today's premiere. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Bomb Squad!